In the eerie expanse of Skinwalker Ranch, the air seemed alive with static, the kind that prickled on the back of the neck when something unseen watched from the shadows. The scientists had grown accustomed to that feeling, yet every experiment only deepened their confusion. This time, their mission was to confront the so-called bubble, an invisible sphere distorting gravity, GPS, and the laws of physics. Using a new tool called a helikite, a hybrid of balloon and kite equipped with transmitters and cameras, they sought to breach the bubble's barrier. As the helium lifted the device into position, all seemed calm. Then the instruments began to go mad. The GPS reported that the device had plunged thousands of feet underground. The 1.2 gigahertz transmitter showed interference, forming a second signal line. The drones refused to lift off their systems, paralyzed. Even as Travis tried launching rockets, each veered away, deflected as if striking an invisible wall. The air buzzed with invisible energy. When the helikite brushed the boundary, the signal monitors exploded with data spikes, and the LiDAR drones simply died. The men stared upward, the Utah sky vast and empty, yet filled with invisible force. Later in the command center, Eric analyzed the data. The GPS track lines showed impossible depths, 5,000 feet below ground. The high-speed cameras recorded Flash's small moving lights darting just beyond the visible field. Something was there reacting. Days later, at the southern border near Dry Gulch Creek, the team took kayaks and drones to test whether the bubble extended that far. As they entered the water, their tri-field meters, flatline sonar readings dropped to 0, and GPS devices again showed underground coordinates. Jim's LiDAR drone, programmed to fly through the bubble, suddenly refused to launch, claiming an aircraft was in its path, though the sky was clear. When forced into flight, it suffered data corruption exactly along the theoretical bubble's edge. Every pass through the boundary triggered new error clusters. In the post-mission review, the men compared their findings and found eerie symmetry. Every malfunction corresponded to the same invisible contour. Then Ben Woodruff, the biologist, introduced something shocking. The scat collected along the creek contained digested coyote bones. No known predator would eat a coyote. He theorized an ancient predator, perhaps a dire wolf, was alive within the bubble's influence. That idea resurrected primal fear. What if this region not only distorted technology, but time-preserving creatures from long-extinct eras? The drone's LiDAR imaging added another layer, a strip of missing data at the southern barrier, precisely where in earlier seasons glowing orbs had appeared. The void was not random. It was physical evidence of interference or presence. As they discussed next steps, the team began mapping the bubble's perimeter with physical posts. That's when Caleb stumbled upon a relic from 3 years earlier, a GPS-equipped bottle dropped from a helicopter experiment that vanished midair. It lay intact on the bubble's boundary. A second appeared at the southern edge. The implications were disturbing objects interacted with this barrier as if sliding down its unseen surface. Meanwhile, drilling into the mesa resumed, supervised by Travis and Thomas. At 85 feet deep, the borehole began swallowing water, suggesting a hollow space inside. Soon after, the drill hit an impenetrable layer harder than granite. Archaeologist Chris Roberts sifted through the spoils and found metallic fragments layered like composite armor. The pieces were magnetic, artificial, and eerily similar to aerospace materials. If natural geology couldn't explain them, something or someone had placed them there. As night fell, the team tested the western boundary, assisted by LiDAR expert Pete Kelsey. They launched rockets and drones again. The rocket shot upward, then abruptly veered aside, while the drone froze in midair, motionless, as if pressing against glass. Eric detected the same 1.2 gigahertz signal, again emanating from nowhere. Then something extraordinary appeared, a bright orb beside the drone, moving with it before vanishing. When they reviewed the flight data, the GPS showed the drone had been pushed backward 200 feet in seconds. No wind, no error, just force. The bubble wasn't a metaphor anymore. It was a structure, responsive and deliberate. Days later, reviewing all data, they realized every malfunction, every GPS glitch, every light anomaly occurred along a 2,000-foot radius around the triangle. The bubble seemed to protect something buried under the mesa. Inside that, boundary physics twisted. Signals bent energy vanished, and even life itself behaved differently. As drilling continued, Thomas radioed that the bit had hit another impenetrable layer. Moments later, Chris uncovered more metallic fragments, smooth and unnatural. Could this be debris from whatever the bubble guarded? Travis speculated aloud. What if the bubble isn't a barrier at all, but a containment field? The words hung heavy in the command room. Perhaps the energy wasn't keeping them out. It was keeping something in. As the final scene faded, lasers mounted across the ranch blinked out simultaneously as though the bubble itself had reacted to their probing. The last image was Travis's reflection on the monitor, a man staring into the unknown, realizing that for every mystery they solved, two more emerged. The bubble wasn't a single phenomenon. It was the ranch itself, alive, aware, and waiting.